Hello. Like it's working. Hey everyone, this is Level with Me. This is my Twitch show where I play through games and talk about what I think the level design is doing. And today we are continuing our playthrough of Black Mesa Source. We are going to play specifically Chapter 2, Anomalous Materials. This is actually the chapter that I worked on when I was on Black Mesa Source in its very early days. So expect me to complain a lot about how I was like a shitty level designer. Um, let's go into it. Um, I didn't actually check the speaker setup, so hopefully everything's okay. Let's see if it actually works okay.
Morning, Mr.
Oh,
Freeman.
there we go.
Looks like you're running late.
Alright, so last time we spent an hour talking about the first 5 minutes of the game, so this time
It's been pretty scarce around here.
I want to go a little bit faster.
Guess his bar tab must have finally caught up with him.
Is this guy's name not Barney? Why was he talking about Barney? I guess Barney is a specific Barney. Right. Anyway. Oh wait, we already talked about this room. Let's move on. Okay, so now begins the section that I basically worked on. So, I built out some of this airlock. I didn't exactly finish it. I think the person who finished a lot of my stuff was Anthony Stone, I believe. So good on Anthony for doing all that stuff. We'll just step into this airlock right here.
Oh man, you cut the ponytail. Sellout.
So I talked about earlier about how. I should probably turn subtitles on. Uh, So I talked a lot about earlier about how when we're doing when you're building Black Mesa Source, there's like a very conscious pressure about how you're supposed to like update it, revamp everything, make it look fancier, make it look new. So this airlock was something that was pretty important to build out just because in the original it's just like an empty hallway that you walk into, but here it's expanded quite a
Say
bit,
hi to Dr. Cross for me.
and there's even a little bit of fan service sequencing going on here, which is always fun. Here you can see, let me just no clip around. Oops, all my bindings are gone and all my cheats are gone. Okay. There we go. Let's see what's going on. So
Be sure
there's
to
like
stop by the front desk.
this weird
Dr.
mug,
Carter's been looking for you.
creepy mug. What else is going on here? Oh, this is nice. So this is like a custom console with custom textures. Let's see what else. Um, let's see. We have these other cameras right here. On the chat, Mara Weird says the picture's not streaming. Is that true? Everything looks okay on my end. If the stream is broken, make sure you yell a lot in the chat so I can see or hear you. Um, Otherwise, I don't know if there's anything wrong. I'm just gonna keep playing and pretending that everything is okay. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. Bunch of consoles here. This looks pretty kit bash and improvised, to be honest, though. Um, you see, with the lighting here, I think it was very. It felt, or at least I felt, it was pretty important for lights to be coming through this window. So there's a pretty strong floodlight here, and that's justified by this very small little light fixture over here. Um, so remember, one way of differentiating this remake and the original Half-Life One is whenever you see like more like sharp shadows and fancier shadows, that's the level designer trying to wave a flag, being like, "Look, we're in a new game engine. Look, we have more intense shadows." And you still see people do that today all the time in their level design to show off dramatic lighting and to show off engine capabilities. I just spent 2 minutes talking about a concrete room, so I should probably keep going. Okay, so this lobby. Um, so what I still like about this lobby is that. Ooh,
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had
that
a
was a
bunch
weird
of
sound for
messages
that door, but
We had a system crash
look
about
at how
3
detailed this door
minutes
prop
ago,
is
and I'm
now.
still trying to find my files. Just one of those days, I guess. They were also having some problems down
And
in
all the
the test
dialogue
chamber
is
too.
recreated from
But
the
I think that's
original.
all straightened out.
But this room,
They
yeah,
told
it's
me to make
very
sure you headed
different
down there as soon
if
as
you
you
play
got
the
into the hazard suit.
original. Where the original is much more like rectangular and much more boxy. But here you see
Corporal Lucas, please report to
here you
top
see
side,
that
checkpoint Alpha.
I don't know. I just felt it was really important to make a big dramatic statement, and I think it kind of worked because you can see that this like room, this screenshot is actually used in a lot of key art for Black Mesa, especially really early on when I was still on the project to like sell the idea of a big flashy remake. So I felt it was pretty important, yeah, to make the map much bigger, to make it kind of shiny and dramatic. Look how shiny that is! Wow. I think I think I would have preferred a stronger normal map there, but it's okay.
Reports. Sector C.
Um,
Material
this
Rental
texture's kind of
System
weird. I think
is now operational.
I don't know if I textured it that way. Maybe someone else did. That feels a little bit. It feels like it's just like cut off. It's not really clear what the materiality of it is either. It's just like are these like supposed to be like speakers or is this like additional structure to hold up the map? I do like. I don't remember doing this part. Maybe Anthony did this one, where I do like there's this little lip coming out to help sell the idea that this is like a big metal thing on built on top of this concrete thing. I do like that. Let's see what else. Oh right. So one thing that I like about this room is that it still preserves a lot of the original flow. So the player, as the player, is still kind of moving the same direction. So you go out of this hallway, and then you turn to your right, and then you walk down that hallway. That's what you did in the original, and that's also what you do here too. Except again, there's that pressure that we need to make everything bigger, better. Try to figure out some kind of fancy detail to put in there. Ideally, it doesn't feel really meaningless and stupid. Ideally, it feels like
Dr.
good and
Hillard
deserved.
reports. Residue processing
Um,
plant is operating at optimal performance.
that also kind of goes down to this reception desk too. I think I was inspired with it by the if you visit like a fancy modern art museum, you know like the I think I'll specifically think of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. They often have these big fancy round like reception desks, and to me that just like really projects power. I think if I were working on this now, though, I probably would have done a fancier thing, which was try to make this desk design resemble the Black Mesa logo a little bit, just to make it like a little bit flashier and conceptually interesting. But when I built it, it was just this kind of crummy little brushwork thing. It looks like this got art passed to hell in a really nice way. I like that there's these individual little like placemat things. That's some really nice work there. I also like that they've like built out whatever these like little computer box things are. Much nicer than my crappy version. What else? I also just like a lot of like TV screens. I don't know. I guess I was thinking of Namjoon Pike or well, like video art, TV art, where or even this is like a very cyberpunk kind of trope, right? To have a big array of all these screens. Spoiler, the end of like Cowboy Bebop, for example, has like a very iconic scene with all these screens everywhere. Um, but this is also like a very like '90s thing, right? Like screens are finally becoming more ubiquitous. They're not flat panel screens. This is a little bit anachronistic. How here there are these CRT big monitors right here, and then we have flat panels here. That doesn't quite make sense. That's my fault, I
Dr.
guess.
McVinney, Dr. Ryman, and
Um,
Dr. Brickman, please report to
Hello, Gordon.
Materials
oh,
Complex
and then there's like a
for
trigger set up for her to
overflow
talk to you if you walk up
scheduled
to
in
her. That's kind of cool.
15 minutes.
What else is going on here? One cool thing here. Ooh, they like art passed this prop. This is pretty cool. In the original, there's this weird little computer console that you can go over and
Get away
activate.
from there, Freeman. I'm expecting an important message.
And when you activate it, there's this like guy who walks over and yells at you. And then the other Easter egg that was really important to recreate was this button behind the desk that you can activate.
Hey,
It's happening!
cut it out.
What the hell is going on up there?
My horoscope was correct.
Did someone pull this fire alarm or something?
And that activates
Come
an
on,
alarm.
Gordon. What are you trying to do? Get me into trouble?
And then they yell at you.
Come in.
Yeah, I'm here.
What the hell's going on up there?
Oh wow,
We
it's
had
like
a
an
little
extended
accident up here,
conversation.
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that better be the last accident you have.
And I interpret these things as the players doing like mischievous stuff, the players causing trouble, and it's kind of a like foreshadowing device for all the trouble the player will be causing later in this chapter. Any last thoughts on this map?
Try hitting
I
Control
think
Alt Delete.
I would have preferred this floor to be
Quit looking over my
shinier.
shoulder, you're making me uncomfortable.
Reactor complex.
To me, it doesn't make sense for this to be kind of dull. All the materials end up like reading the same way. I think I would have made it. I think the sheen on this metal is like a perfect amount. Although the normal map is pretty low resolution now. Probably should have made the normal map nicer. I did most of the texturing for my level 2, which is also something kind of rare that you wouldn't really see in most level design workflows. Let's see what else is going on. I think we're good. Okay, so here we had
Did you
this.
make sure
This is
everything
also
is
really
plugged
important
in?
thing to recreate from the
invading my comfort
original,
zone,
where
Doc.
they had this rudimentary like wayfinding system that you might see in like very institutional settings, where you can like follow these lines to go places. I think players don't actually use these. I think it's more of a like a world building diegetic storytelling kind of thing to show that this is the institutional kind of place
You don't
that
suppose
would
solitaire takes up
put
too much
work into
memory,
this.
do you?
You can also see that I
So
put a lot of
smart,
work
you
into
don't
these
never
bevels. Look at this bevel right here on this concrete block. Very, very important. I think if I was building this now, though, I would have made this bevel a lot more subtle. This is a little bit too thick and chunky. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it. You can see there's all this like weird little busy greeble stuff on the ceiling. It's not, and there's all these wires. Remember that most players don't actually look up, but it's mostly
Staring at
there.
the screen won't fix it.
It's mostly there so that the
What?
screenshot looks nice.
Sorry, I spaced out there for a minute.
Because again, most players won't be like, "Wow, look at that! That was great."
Report to Anomalous Materials.
Okay, let's keep going. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. I'm babbling. Let's keep going. Oh, one thing that I felt was important Although I don't know if I actually, I don't think I actually modeled these rails. I think someone else art passed this. Um, well, it's because this is like a government institution. The fiction of it should be that it's like ADA accessible. It's like accommodating all these federal building codes. So if it's a government facility, they should have a lot of handrails everywhere. There should be no stairs. There should be ramps and fully handicap accessible stuff like that. So this might be like a subtle, pointless detail, but it's actually, I think, very important to sell the institutional thinking and institutional feeling. Let's see what else. Let's keep walking down here. In the original, also, there's no ramp here. This is also just like, um, this is just like a flat thing, and that's one really important story for this whole like architectural story for this whole level. You gradually keep descending down and down and down. So, um, to me, it was really important to keep having that like slight gradual descent kind of feeling, like you're descending into this like big belly of like a beast. Um, and that's a story that's kind of present in the original, but here maybe I was just overdoing it and putting more ramps everywhere.
Security officer Irvin, please report to office complex level 6.
Let's see what else is going on here. Notice there's sprinklers right here. Again, very important for this institutional feeling to have all these little things. I think this was remodeled. This looks a little bit more detailed than the Half-Life 2 version. So, good job whoever modeled those sprinklers. Let's see what else is going on. There's this big room here.
Freeman actually
Oof.
did show up for
I
what
think this feels really weird to me now. I think I wouldn't have built it out like this anymore. Like the idea that you're having this round thing, like it just feels really awkward. It doesn't really fit the flow of the room, to me anymore at least. But remember, we want to make everything seem fancier. We want to make everything seem more expensive. So curved stuff,
I'm just better than you.
cylinders. Oh, whoa, excuse
Big
me.
day today, eh, Freeman?
Curved surfaces, bevels, all very important to sell that
Good morning,
expensive
Gordon.
feeling. Or maybe what I'm not feeling is the floor texture. I think I'm not a fan of this floor texture. I think I would have... It's too bright.
What's the extension for technical support?
I think it overpowers the brightness and the values of the room. Now it's just, yeah, way too bright. I don't know. Or maybe there was a reason the level designer art passed it like this. I don't know.
Please report to office complex level 6.
Yeah, I think I would have gone with a darker floor for this, considering how bright everything else kind of is. Let's see. Oh, it can pick up chairs. Okay. I like this server rack. This is a nice detail too. This feels like kind of researched and realistic.
Can you access the mail server?
To have all this fiber coming down from the ceiling, that feels, yeah, realistic to me. Let's see what else is going on here. We have these rooms right here. These details are all recreated from the original, where there's like a room with this character right here, who's called the G-Man. He figures into the other Half-Life games if you've ever played the other Half-Life games. But here you can see he's right there. With like muffled sounds, so you can't really hear what they're saying. And now they look at you and notice you. Oh gosh. Oh. Look at those blinds. That was really nice. Whoever scripted that, good job. Okay. Oh, okay. So these windows, you're gonna see this window structure a lot, where there's a big pane of glass right here, and then like a little like pane right here. I felt this was important just to sell different proportions of the space. Otherwise, everything feels like it's the same proportion, and it feels just a little bit too like cookie cutter. I don't know. Sometimes you need stuff where it's like breaking from the grid, where when you build stuff in Half-Life 1 or Half-Life 2, it's very tempting to stay in chunks of 32 inches or 64, 128 inches. This is on purpose to break that grid and then give it more of this lived-in kind of feeling.
Sergeant Soleto, Command and Communications Center.
Go bother someone else, Gordon.
We can talk later, Gordon.
Another thing I want to point out, as usual, level design and game design is like a team effort. So I might have like built a lot of the original architecture or done like some of the first pass on the texturing, but what sells this as a location
You forgot
is
to carry the 2. Or was it
voice
the 3?
actors, is all the people scripting all these little incidental little scenes to experience. Whoever art passed these whiteboards, nice job, very high resolution. Look at that. Whoever just did all this stuff. You know, it's all these people adding all their stuff together. This is a lovely institutional metal prop. I think I would have made it shinier. It's not quite selling the metal materiality of it, but hold on. Oh, and then this door sound? I'm a fan. I think it might be too much a little bit, like too many mechanisms, but I'm still a fan of it. I think I did this door texture too. Now I would say this door texture is kind of bad. Hopefully they art past this door texture. One thing that's wrong with this door texture is just like this, you can tell that I used like Photoshop bevels to do this part, and it just feels really like 2002. Also, this is a detailed enough, ubiquitous enough thing that they should art pass it into a dedicated prop and not just leave it as this flat textured thing.
Secure line call 271.
Let's see, what else? Notice this like slight like raised ramp. That's like continuing that like downward descent like ramp story I was talking about earlier, where this is meant to show you that you're going upwards, you're not going downwards. This is kind of the wrong way, in like a subtle kind of way. I don't know if it's in the original, it might be. And here you see I have these big little concrete boys right here. Concrete boys are there, I think, to help sell the mass of it. Also, just avoid this weird awkward transition where you have a raised ramp against this texture. You would need to continue the floor trim and slant the floor trim, and then that looks kind of weird. So I kind of wanted to avoid that. Okay, let's go down here. In the original, this hallway right here is literally just here to break your line of sight from the rest of the facility and to trigger a level change, because Half-Life was released back in 1998, so they didn't have that much memory. Levels were kept to a pretty small size, so it could load pretty fast. But here you can see there's no level change, and this level is actually really, 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 really big, actually. Impressively big. And it continues down into that elevator area. I think in the original, I might have even had it even bigger. I might have had all of this chapter in one map, but maybe that's too
Now
much.
let's get back to work. We should at least try to get busy.
Let's keep going. So notice these windows again. Again, this little horizontal thing slicing across the glass plane is to just, mix up the proportions a little bit more. It's also to help give it more of a human scale, because maybe you have this horizontal beam slicing across this glass, because that's kind of mimicking the scale of the counters or a table or, waist
Don't be
height.
ridiculous.
Otherwise, without these scaling cues, it can feel a little bit weird and strange. Let's see, what's going on here? There's no real reason to round this other than for an excuse to put rounded things. Looks
Pray
like the
tell,
smoothing
where
groups
could one
are
find
messed
more
up.
toner for the fax machine?
Or the Q maps are messed up.
Ah, absolutely.
Morning, champ.
Hello?
See, this break room is also recreated from the original, where although it's art passed a little bit more, I think there's like a little bit more detail with all these, employee notices that would be in a break room, or like a bulletin board is the kind of detail you'd expect to see. Ooh, and they like modeled out the paper. Look at that, nice work. A lot of this is
Have you
deliberately
seen my
kept
coffee cup?
very similarly. Like there's a very garish checkerboard floor that's carried over from the original. Water cooler, you gotta have one of those. Industrial fridge that I think is a Counter-Strike prop.
Good heavens!
What the
Oh,
hell?
oops. I accidentally activated the microwave. Oops.
You think you can fix the vending machine too, college boy?
We will never hear the end of this.
Yeah, you best make like an atom and split. Cause that was you-know-who's lunch.
This is another set piece or a little Easter egg recreated from the original where you can activate the microwave and it'll explode. Of course, the microwave has just been detailed. We kind of, whoever guitar soloed this microwave prop, good job. I don't think it's used anywhere
How
else
is
in
the
the game.
debugging procedure coming along?
These lovely donut boxes, I think, get reused a lot. Nice shape to it.
You better make like a
what
bread
else?
truck and haul buns.
I think I would have, if I was the artist who made this, though, I would have made it one of those pink boxes that's pretty common, especially on the west coast of the United States. Donuts come in these pink boxes that are like very just iconic. And it will give it a nice little splash of color to this room, I think. And it also would have felt like this lived in detail that's relatively unique to the United States. But technically,
I'm not smug. I'm just better
this is
than
set
you.
in Arizona. That's where Black Mesa is. So maybe in Arizona, donuts aren't in pink boxes. But then you don't get to do this cute little Easter egg where you get to like make like fake branding right here, particle accelerators. That's a smart donut.
I wouldn't want to be around when the good doctor rears his head.
You kidding? I wouldn't miss this for anything.
Throw some chairs
Look at me
around.
tied.
There's a vending machine. Super functional.
How is
Pointless.
the debugging procedure coming
But
along?
again, you have to make this because that's what your audience wants. Oh my god, and then modeled out this vending machine. All these details. Very fancy. Let's keep going. So let me try to recreate how players usually build this in how you play this out in Half-Life 1. So I think what a lot of players do when they're playing Half-Life 1 for the first time is they end up maybe turning left down here, going down here because it feels like the main critical path, and then you go here.
Hold it right there, Mr. Freeman. I got explicit orders not to let you through without your hazard suit on.
And then you get told that you have to put your hazard suit on, but really no feedback on where the hazard suit is or what even the hazard suit is. So this is meant to be like a mini tutorial little puzzle to get players to
I got all
learn
day, buddy.
that sometimes characters lock stuff and you have to go find the way to get around it. So let's go back and try to find the way. And find that hazard suit. Here you can see there's two different doors here. What I was thinking here was there would be gendered locker rooms probably, because this is an institutional setting, so this would probably be the men's locker room and this would be the women's locker room. I think this didn't get exactly passed through to the environment artist or whoever art passed this, because the doors are unmarked, so it's kind of weird and not clear what this door actually is, but whatever. Keep going.
Triple pleated khakis? Preposterous.
Oh, are they triple pleated? The cloth folds are kind of intense on his pants. Like wow, look at that. Like that is intense. That's a lot. A lot is going on there. I'm feeling things.
And these
looking at that.
ludicrous penny loafers.
Oh, those loafers are okay. Okay, so the locker room. The locker room, the floor plan is kind of similar to the original, except for some reason I thought it was really important to have this slanted hallway to make it kind of fancy looking. Let's see. I also thought it was important for these these like cylindrical pillars with the fluorescent lighting inside. I thought it was important to like double or triple the polygons on that. Just because those are in the original, but that's like a nice way to put some
Nobody
crunchy
here
details
has
in
an eye
there.
for fashion.
It looks like someone art passed these things on top of the pillars. This is beautiful. I love this prop. Like this is like this is fantastic. This is like I want this prop, this like little weird metal brace thing. This is like my son. I want to like adopt this. This is beautiful. Um this is like there's like a famous factory in Germany called the AEG factory. I'm only thinking about this because I'm giving a level design lecture on this later. There's an AEG factory. It was built in the 19th century, kind of. And the bombs of the pillars look like this. It's like a very industrial, like it's almost kind of like a radiator, right? Like clamp thing. Um, Gorgeous. Yeah, whoever modeled this and thought to put this here, like this is also just a very authentic feeling thing, right?
Does this lab coat make me
The
look
cylindrical thing is really more of like a maybe like a plexiglass kind of like enclosure thing that would be going around in the actual structural steel beam that would be there. So whoever did that, that's beautiful. Like good job. Gorgeous. What else is going on here? The lighting feels a little bit weird to me. The fire extinguisher emergency box thing, that red is way too bright now. I think you need to either bring that down or add more fill light here. This poster is also just kind of too dark. So I think what I would do if I were still working on Black Mesa, which I don't, is probably bring down this red a little bit or desaturate it a little bit and then add a really subtle fill light right here. There's already a little bit of subtle fill light going on from this light fixture on top, illuminating this door, but I think you could probably add another little point light just to make this feel a little bit nicer. Also notice the fire sprinklers. Very, very important. I think in the original you could open some of these. Oh, Yang, that's me. This is my locker. Very kind of them to still leave my name in here. Thank you. And then of course Freeman is. So I think in the original these had the developers' names, the original Valve developers' names on it. But now they have some of the original members of Black Mesa Source on this now. Oh gosh. And then Freeman, notice that the lighting on it is just a little bit funny. That's just because, you know, we want the player to notice the Freeman locker because it's interactive, because it's your locker. You can open it. Oh man, and look at these high detail props. Look at how much texture resolution we've given to this MIT diploma. It's kind of weird though. You wouldn't keep your diploma in your locker, right? This is one of those weird video game things that doesn't actually make sense if you think about it. There's a flask. I don't know who keeps a flask in their locker like that. I mean, you know, maybe a drinking flask, sure, but not like a lab flask. But whoever did the texture on this, look at how high detail that is. That's nice work. I guess that's. I don't know whose baby that is. That okay? So Freeman. I don't know. We can debate this. I feel like Gordon Freeman is not the type of guy to have a child or have a baby. I don't know. But I think that is in the original. It's probably some Valve developer's baby. What's this? What the hell is this? Color polish? Wait, what is that? What? What is that? Dark red? Oh, polishing the car. Oh, I think that's I think the joke is that Gordon Freeman has a really nice fancy sports car, so he keeps car polish in his locker. That might be a nod to John Carmack, maybe, who famously drives like a red Ferrari or something. A mug? Who doesn't keep a mug in their locker? Random, really nice detailed cardboard box that is apparently empty. Oh, this green suit. Maybe, yeah, it's another change of clothes. That's a nice detail. And then this light fixture prop. Ugh. I think I might have, yeah. I don't like, okay, so that gray, dark gray line just does not look good. It's way too thick. You need to make that thin and also add some shading, like emboss that cage around that plastic housing because it just looks really weird to me. It's like a road reflector, but road reflectors don't do that. Anyway. And then an HEV battery, which we can use after we pick up our HEV suit over here. This right here is a laundry cart, and it's here just to make this feel a little bit more lived in. Otherwise, this wall feels a little bit awkward. Okay, so you might try to walk over and pick up your suit, but there's these weird glass doors here. I would put more specular on these glass doors. It's kind of hard to see that they're there. So then the player now has to learn that they can press buttons. Ooh, nice particle effect. Oh, then there's these weird hoses. And then that's your suit. I think the suit doesn't have enough dirt and grime. I also think the black albedo on this suit prop is way too dark. I would bring that up to like more of a mid-gray. And now we're we have a suit. Ooh, I like the text effect. Look at that. Look at all these text effects. This is nice. Ooh. Oh, I don't remember this. Wow, they really art passed this sequence. Oh wow. Fancy. And then you get like moody industrial music when you pick all that up. Wow. Oh, that's really cool how it all loads up. That's nice. HEV suit runs Windows apparently, but that's not right. The HEV suit should be running Linux, right? Wow, that's a nice detail. Now we can charge our suit because now we have an HEV suit. Oh man, and this prop is gorgeous. God. Look at that. Look at the specular on this hose. I'm just gonna zoom in on this hose. I want to marry this hose. This hose is beautiful. Like, look at that. Oh, it's like so shiny. Oh, very nice. What was I doing? Sorry, I was thinking about hoses. Oh, look at this hose too. Oh, that's not as fancy as a hose. That's more like a rubber tube. Yeah. I think I would make this rubber tube very, very shiny because you want to contrast that material and make that read better against this very dull kind of metal. Let's keep going over here. Oh, and then we have these toilets.
Hello? Hello? Could somebody get me some toilet paper?
Oh, and then I think this is a new thing they added. New tutorial.
Excuse me. Minor emergency.
He's asking for toilet paper, so you can just pass him some
Thank
toilet
heavens.
paper.
I'm in dire need of some toilet paper.
That's nice. I like it when games do these little interactions that aren't like puzzles, but it's still like interactive and the world responding to you. Not part of the critical path, but it's like, it's like world building. Okay, so if you know me, I'm a big fan of toilets and bathrooms. I've made one of the most advanced toilet simulators known into the history of video games. And then Brendan Chung is in the chat. Okay, Brendan, um, you also need to do your own parallel toilet evaluation of this. So here we have these urinals. These urinals are okay. So first of all, really nice job on the valve right here. I think I would bevel it a little bit more. I think this cylinder could have used a few more sides on it too, especially to contrast it with like the octagonal, hexagonal kind of thing. Are these interactive? I don't think so. That's a shame. The valve is a little bit too small. I think I would make the valve a little bit bigger. Because the handle looks a little bit small too. I don't know. Let's see, the bowl that's coming out of the urinal, like the basin, is a little bit too aggressive. I think I would bring that in a little bit more. Feels a little bit too video gamey. But that's a very nice like urinal like drain thing, and it's even like bump mapped in a nice way too. I don't know. It's okay. So stuff feels really different when, um, like okay. So like the base of this valve to me clearly needs more polygons, right? Because the shape of it has to do so much work because you're counting on that shape to provide so much of the detail because the material is so plain. But if you have a material, if your texture, your round cylindrical thing to have trim so that it like fits the sides, then you don't need more sides to the polygon because now the texture is doing more of the heavy lifting and it feels more right, if that makes sense. It feels more like intentional and real. Let's see. I like these dividers. I even like, this is a nice detail, that they have the brackets here, that they built out the brackets, and then you have the like wood or plywood thing that's held by the mount. That's very realistic. They also have these very institutional brackets too. Um, I had to model these for my own game. These are so much fun to make. If you are a 3D modeler or a level designer or artist, model yourself some modular toilet stall brackets. They are super fun, super good, totally worth it. Um, Here, these are super institutional feeling, which is a nice touch, I think. This crossbar at the top is really important because structurally, I think if you don't have that crossbar at the top, then they're kind of wobbly. So if you ever walk into a big institutional bathroom or restroom and you see that top crossbar, that's there for structural stability because here you can see they're not connected down here, right? And then there's these nice metal brackets right here. Yeah, nicely done. I think I would have put more detail on this handle right here. It's a little bit too simple, especially when you're attracting our attention with this very sharp vacant or occupied sign thing. Uh, you know, you can't have a low detail thing next to a high detail thing. That looks kind of weird. It's like you're tricking the player into looking at it, and then you're telling them, actually ignore this thing. What else? The normal maps on these tiles are way too aggressive. Is that my fault? I think I might have made that texture. Sorry. Like the bevels on these tiles just don't feel real. I feel like these tiles don't actually do this. The door gap. Okay, so this is okay. So my bathroom game is actually has to do with sex and stuff. So in the chat, Brendan Chung notes that the tight door cap thing here is actually very disciplined. It's actually way too intense. You can tell a straight person art past these stalls because I think a gay man would have been like, actually, what's weird about toilets is that there's these weird gaps. Or like a trans person, right? The gaps in these stalls are the whole reason or supposed legal rationale why you can ban trans people from using the bathroom of their choice. Because the legal fiction is that a trans person could potentially walk past a stall, and because there's a gap and a slit between that stall, they could potentially, you could potentially see or catch a glimpse of some genitals that you might not want to see. So I think queer people are really highly attuned to the gaps between stalls because society like makes us think about it so much. Um, meanwhile, um, meanwhile, I think straight men are like, oh yeah, I'll just design my ideal, beautiful fantasy bathroom, and they look like this. Sure, why not? Um, oh gosh, this is a cool prop. I'm a fan of that prop. I think it could use a few more polys though. It's a little bit low poly, and it could do with a little retexturing, but nice. Ooh, I like this. This is a nice metal door thing too. Like, notice how institutional it looks. You know, this is clearly some kind of like utility room, and you can just tell from this like crunchy door with these ventilation things here. Let's see. Oh, in the chat, Rectus SA asks, why do U.S. public bathrooms have stalls? It's because in the U.S. There's a very strong puritanical streak still very deeply ingrained in U.S. culture. So people are very like prudish. People in the U.S. we police bodies pretty heavily. Very different from how the rest of the world might police bodies. So it's kind of a shame, but you know, that's how this is. When in Rome. What else? It's weird to have a bench here. Is that my fault? Did I put that bench there? Ugh. Yeah, like, why do you put... I mean, a bench there... I know, okay, so... This is actually really, really interesting because I'm spending like 30 minutes talking about bathrooms. I think I'm gonna have to end the stream soon just because I'm running out of time. So, with bathroom design, women's bathrooms actually commonly have some kind of like couch. Like that's not totally uncommon to see. I mean, I wouldn't know. I haven't been in many women's restrooms, but but in but I think or some of the ones I have seen though, it's common to have a couch because the a women's restroom is supposed to serve functions beyond just going to the bathroom, right? For example, women's rooms are there for like if you have to like sort stuff out of your bag, or if you need to, or if you just need to get away from men often enough. You know, this is why women go to the restroom together. It's so they can get away from men and have some time to themselves. Just because it can be awful having to talk to men all the time. You know, it's okay. I get it. So you know, it's also kind of like a social space as well. But sometimes it's also where you need to put your bag if you need a wash up at the sink, stuff like that. So benches and seats are actually really important based on the gender, supposed gender of the restroom. So that's a nice detail. The trash can should not be here. This is maybe my fault. Did I put the trash can here? Or maybe in the original, the trash can is here. Oh, you can pick it up. Okay, yeah. I think the trash can should go more like here, actually. Because part of the fiction is that someone will be washing their hands, they'll be drying their hands with this paper towel, and then they'll start walking out. You don't want to make you don't want to make the theoretical bathroom user wash their hands. Oh, why is toilet paper here? Does he need more toilet paper? There's another roll. You know, you don't want to make the user wash their hands, walk out. Oh wait, what do I do with this paper towel? Where do I throw this away? Oh, I have to backtrack, throw this away. Now I can do this. So I'm just gonna leave this trash can over here because that's kind of more where it should go, I think. And it also kind of interrupts the flow. This is where bathroom design is really key. So, you kind of have to confront this trash can and throw away your garbage so that you don't walk away still holding your paper towel. Wonder what this guy thinks of me.
I remember my days in the hazardous environment suit.
Okay, he hasn't been paying attention to me at all. That's good. Okay, any last notes about this toilet? Let's see. The choice of sink prop here is a little bit strange. This type of sink with like integrated backsplash kind of thing is usually more of a freestanding sink. It's a little bit strange to have this as part of a big built-in counter. I think the reason from a game art perspective you would do this is to show off that you modeled off the pipes in the basin underneath so that it's more of a detailed scene with all these crunchy details. But realistically though, you wouldn't use this type of sink, right? It would probably be honestly more of a porcelain sink or a fancy kind of thing. It's weird to mix metal hardware with like this particle board kind of counter. It doesn't really make much sense, honestly. Also, it's way too many sinks. This is too cramped. I think I would have put 3 sinks here. 3 sinks here would fit better just so that you have an odd number of things. If you have too many even numbers of things, it feels a little bit too like matchy-matchy, too symmetrical. But if you have 3 here, that's an odd number. Rule of 3s. We love numbers of 3s. Look, 3 paper towels, right? That's natural. That's beautiful. That's real. But 4, boo. Also, I think if you had 3 sinks, that would also leave a little bit more counter space too, as well. Oh, and in the chat, people are also calling out other stuff. Anton Cudden, sorry if I mispronounced that, mentions there's no floor drain. So definitely whoever's art passing this in the future, it would be cool if there's like a floor drain right here, especially near urinals. You definitely need some kind of floor drain. It also makes mopping much easier if you're the poor person who has to... I mean, floor drains are technically here, but I think you could use like a round floor drain here. It would be a nice detail. Mirrors are a little bit... Mirrors you can contest a little bit. So on the chat, Docky mentions that there's no mirrors here. And I think some restrooms would do that because they don't want you to stay. But then that doesn't make sense why there would be a bench here, right? Or they would put the mirror somewhere else, right? You might not necessarily put the mirror next to the sink, but instead you put the mirror like over here so that people don't linger at the sink longer than they're supposed to. The other thing you might do is, the other reason why you might not have the mirror is, as Liquid Steig says in the chat, you might not want a mirror in this video game bathroom because that draws attention to how it's not an actual realistic mirror that's reflecting the player. So it feels a little bit weird. Of course, if you look down, you don't see your own body, right? Half-Life famously does not incorporate body awareness and does not model the player's body like that. So if there was a mirror, you would not expect to see yourself, and it would kind of clash with the phenomenology of this game. Okay, I spent 20 minutes talking about the mirror. Oh wait, I think I have to end this stream soon. Okay, let me just walk over.
Of course, at the time it was...
I'm sorry, I spent... Oh, now I can pick up the battery.
Power 30%.
Okay, let's actually play the game a little bit.
I hope things return to normal after this.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, sorry. I know I just said I was gonna play the game, but let's look at this concrete hallway a little
Have you
bit.
seen my coffee?
So this concrete hallway has a nice like story, right? Where there's yellow, blue color contrast. Blue is obviously marking off little locations that you should be visiting. Yellow is more like utility wayfinding lighting. That's just, little twinkles along the hallway at regular intervals. But what's also nice is that this yellow lighting also feels pretty dark. It's fairly low light intensity, fairly low lumen compared to how bright some of the other rooms are. I like how we have this contrast between light and dark, right? This is a pretty bright thing, and then this is like a dark, shadowy corner. Again, not very realistic necessarily. A government facility would have bright fluorescent lighting like everywhere at all times. But I find that when you have this dark lighting that's mostly relying on these downlights, um, you get to
What's the
have.
extension for technical support?
Oh, it sounds like she's right behind me. That was creepy. You get to have a darker ceiling, and when you have a darker ceiling and just a darker like ambience in general, that kind of helps sell the underground feeling. It feels a little bit colder, even though it's warm lighting. It feels a little bit
load letter mean?
heavier. I don't know what PC load letter means.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I think I would adjust the sound attenuation on them. It sounds a little bit strange. Oh wait, let's walk through this little side lab. So this is, again, this is not in the original,
Listen,
but
I'm only going to
you're under immense pressure to build out areas that didn't exist in the original. You want to make it
Access the
fancy.
mail server?
yours. Right. And if
Can't
be serious.
Oh, I made this texture. Look at how high resolution this periodic table is. I forget where I got this though. I did not paint this. I think I got this off some website. I think it's Creative Commons. But whoever made that periodic table, thank you. Because, this is a chemistry. This is technically supposed to be a chemistry lab. One weird problem I had in trying to figure out how to build this out is, what does a chemistry lab look like? I'm not a chemist. I don't even know what does a chemistry lab look like?
How's the debugging procedure coming?
So I'm running up against my own ignorance as someone who's not a chemist. Whoa, geez, what? Why was that? That's really rude, dude. What's your problem? Jesus Christ, why would you talk like that to someone? Anyway, I was saying I don't know what chemistry lab looks like, but you also have to rely on the idea that the player doesn't necessarily know what a chemistry lab looks like. So, I guess we need lab counters. You need, you always need you need titration things. You need devices for things to drip. Oh my god. I didn't know I could pick that up. Asshole.
Please.
Yeah, that's what you deserve. Asshole. Don't tell her to shut up. Let's see what else is going on. Ooh, I like how these light fixtures are different from the other light fixtures. So we have this one, and then we have this one. This is very, very important. You always need at least 3 different light fixtures for a game, okay?
Precisely.
You can't, or, ooh, this one has 4. Very important. What else is going on? Let's see. In the chat, Rectus says this periodic table, the white background is a little bit too bright, and the white balance is a little bit off and sticks out too much. I think I would agree with you. It could be brought down a little bit.
Ridiculous.
But to me, it's not popping out too much, because I think the HDR is evening it out. At least on my setup, it doesn't look too bad to me. We have this big, weird machine. I don't know what this does. But whoever built this, nice work. This is pretty, it's like a microscope thing. Nice work. There's all these weird little pipes. I'm not sure what's going on, but it sure looks important. These, I think this is meant to hold carbon dioxide or something. That's nice. I think these were originally Counter-Strike props from Prodigy or something, but I think they've been art passed. Nice work.
Hello, Dr. Cross.
What? Am
Can
I?
this wait?
Is he talking to me? That was weird. Weird that I can't pick up the laptop, but I can pick up these flasks.
Has anyone actually even seen your degree, Freeman?
Anyway, let's keep going. Sorry. these benches are here just because it looks kind of weird if you don't have the benches here. Composition-wise, you always need big stuff, medium stuff, and small stuff. So these props are like medium-sized things that help fill out the scene and fill it out. Oh, this is an annoying thing that I did. You'll notice that this is built at a 45-degree angle. That's just level design stuff showing off, trying to make it feel so like it's not this cookie cutter 90-degree boxy thing. But it makes it so much more painful to build when you're going at a 45-degree angle and you're at a and you're at this weird incline on the Z height axis as well. That's just really annoying to build. And this is like and these pillars were super annoying to build too, because now they're like, now you have all these diagonals going on and all these different angles, but you still have to keep the proportions feeling correct. It was kind of terrible to build these, but they worked. And then here you can see there's this nice ramp right here. Again, this ramp is not in the original, but it's part of that circulation story where we want to keep the player keep walking downwards and downwards and downwards. It's also important to have a mix of different footstep sounds. So you'll notice this footstep sounds different from this footstep. It sounds different from this footstep. It sounds from this footstep. All those different materials are meant to show off our sound designer. So whoever did the sound design and did all that stuff, nice job. Let's see, more random lab stuff. This is some kind of like fume shed kind of fume hood kind of thing. I think that's like a chemistry thing. I think it's built out of brushwork though. It looks very improvised. Let me double check. Yeah, it's a red wireframe, so you can tell this was kind of kit bashed with like all these random parts and textures. That's what the red wireframe tells us on it. Oh, oops, I wasn't supposed to go in this room. Okay. And now we're done with all that stuff, and now, again, I spent an hour on 5 minutes of the game.
Sir.
The other thing this tutorializes, at least also this is carried over from the original, is that it's teaching the player about retinal scanners. Retinal scanners are these white box things. This is like a unique Half-Life 1 game mechanic where to open a door, you need to bring someone with retina scan access and security clearance who can activate the retina scan and open it for you. So this is a mechanic that gets repeated throughout the game. This is them trying to teach you about the mechanic. The retina scan prop itself is pretty cool. I think they're taking notes from the retina scan prop that's done as fan service in the beginning of Half-Life 2. It's definitely to scale.
Well, get going.
But my critique of this prop is that it's way too small for how important it is to gameplay. It's so small and dense that it looks more like set dressing. I mean, the texturing helps. You know, it's kind of a brightish light gray, so it definitely pops out in a scene, right? But what feels wrong about it is the size. I think I would have kept this main shape the same thing, but if I were the environment artist working on Black Mesa, which I am not, but if I were to art past this more, my feedback as the level design would be it needs to be like taller, I think, or like there needs to be like an additional part that like extends off the bottom just so it's occupying more of the screen real estate. Otherwise it doesn't feel like a gameplay thing, if that makes sense.
See you soon.
And then I'll just go to the level change, and I think I have to stop because I have to prep for level design class. I'm teaching that at 4, so.
Hi.
Stop. Okay, we recreated these signs. In the original, they are such a pain in the ass to build. Like, each of these is, wait, or I think in the original, they were either a model that was animated. I mean, that's what this implementation is. But it also might have been actually built by the level designer. And in that case, the scripting must have been really, really annoying to do. But the reason why these weird signs are here is because that's what it was in the original. But again, as a gesture, we put this random lab in here, set dressing there to help sell the idea that the facility is bigger and we're making meaningful changes to the original. Then there's this elevator. Ooh, I like the texturing on this prop. Very nice. Ooh, and then whoever textured this elevator, this is some nice work too. I like that it's slightly shiny a little bit. The materials on this elevator looks nice. It reads well. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save, and I think unfortunately I have to stop here. So I guess next week I'll probably be able to play through the disaster sequence in the test chamber. Hopefully I'll reach there. Sorry I'm taking so long. Bathrooms are just really fascinating to me, and there's just so much to unpack in every room. I promise I'll try to play the game a little bit faster in the future. But thanks so much for hanging out with me in a virtual bathroom. I already saved the game, right? Okay, cool. I have to go now though, because I literally have to go do my job. So, thanks so much for hanging out, and maybe see you next week, same day and time, 2 to 3 p.m. ish Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. Have a good rest of your day, everyone, and don't do anything I wouldn't do.